Hi everyone. I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Welcome June 16th, 2021, 5 p.m. Pacific, or actually 10 minutes, 4:50 p.m. Pacific right now. Coming in early to take your questions live for our Q&A session that we do every week for over a year now. And we've also added the fun part of free consultation giveaways, 15-minute free video consultations. Usually it's three a session, a Q&A session, but we're doing a 40-minute one, so we're gonna do 4 of them. All you gotta do is be here. Every 10 minutes we announce a winner. What you have to do to get involved in that raffle is to like, subscribe, and leave a comment on all the social media, wherever you're watching, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube pages, and TikTok. And then if you're chosen, take a screenshot so I know that that profile is yours, and we'll take from there. Feel free to send out your questions for our general immigration discussions that we're going to have here, educational purposes, not intended for individual legal advice. And people are starting to trickle in, and we're going to start getting the questions. So with that, let's get it started. All right, so there's a lot of news before we get to questions about U.S. immigration, what exactly is happening, what isn't. And there's a lot of moves that are beginning to happen from the Biden administration, a lot of behind the scenes stuff. For example, giving back power to immigration judges so they can make decisions on their docket, which means if there's a case they don't want to deal with now, or they don't deem it appropriate to just kick someone out right now, they can put on hold, giving them more power to make decisions they need to make, which is a big deal. There's an update on the U visa category, and in particular getting the work permit faster because of the huge delays that were existing there. Expedites potentially are going to get a little bit, I don't know, easier, but more understanding if you're trying to expedite your case. We'll see how that happens. There's an issue of just not having enough manpower in the system to be able to handle the volume of cases that are coming. So that really pushes things back and creates a lot of problems with trying to do stuff faster at all. But these things are happening even in Los Angeles. And the question I always get is how long cases take. One of my colleagues filed a citizenship case, naturalization, for N400, and the interview was scheduled 3 months after filing. I'm seeing stuff like that happen, although most cases take 6 months, a year. It does pop up as to the reality is cases happen fast sometimes. But on the downside, on the bad side, the U.S. Embassy system is a whole mess. A lot of them are still closed, not scheduling most types of interviews, whether immigrant visas or non-immigrant visas. Some do, some don't, some do certain categories. So you just is a mixed bag of unexpected stuff going on in the U.S. immigration system that you got to be prepared for. But hey, that's what we're dealing with, and that's the kind of questions, generally speaking, we're going to answer here. Aluwaretomi Fawahinmi, I'm saying that wrong for sure, but you're a regular. I've seen your name before, asking how long can you stay outside the United States if you're a U.S. citizen? Well, for immigration purposes, you can be outside for as long as you want. You can never come back to the United States. That's fine. That's it. So now there's tax consequences when you're a U.S. citizen and you're living overseas. You may still have to file U.S. taxes. You should talk with an accountant about that. Or let's say you are filing for someone, a relative, a parent, you're a U.S. citizen, filing for your parents' green card, a spouse's green card, children, brother and sister. Well, at the end of the stages of that case, before they're allowed to get their green card, you as the petitioner, the person who started the green card case for them, have to be domiciled in the United States. And so that domicile requirement becomes an issue if you're not living here. But there is no standard, there is no rule that says a U.S. citizen has to live in the United States. The big issue just really comes about taxation, but that's about it. So I hope that question helped. Do you think I should bring a lawyer to my marriage green card interview? Would it help? Well, that's very case specific because some couples just have it down perfectly and they don't have to have a lawyer. But general is this: if you could afford to have an attorney with you at an interview, it's better to have it. You want to have an advocate by your side. You never know what kind of government agent you're going to deal with. Most of them are pretty reasonable, but there are a few very, very unreasonable ones, and you want to be there to be able to protect yourself. So that's that. Now, your case may be, and I give that option to my clients because there are additional fees for that. If I sense the case is really strong and the applicants, the couple who are going to the marriage interview, are very confident, they speak well, there's no misunderstandings, their English is okay, they don't have any criminal history, arrest history, or shady or complicated things that they express, I say, hey, go ahead if you like, without an attorney, that's okay, and does work out fine. I have to judge the case. So Mohammed, I don't know your case, I don't know your background, I don't know you and your spouse's ability to handle yourselves in a high stress situation. Everyone does it differently. I've had people who've been commandos in the military, have no fear, but then we talk about going to an immigration officer interview for a green card, and they get nervous. And And when you get really nervous sometimes, you look kind of shady, you're looking around, like, is this guy lying or not, the applicant? So it really depends on your case, but if you have the money, bring a lawyer. And then there's different kinds of lawyers. There's lawyers that could help you, and there's lawyers that could hurt you. If you get a lawyer that's going to go in there and argue with the officer for no reason and instigate them and get them annoyed, then that's not a good lawyer to bring. You want to have someone who's amenable, could talk with them, joke around, kind of smooth the edges, maybe know what's going on in the office. There's a lot that goes into that. The short answer is, if you can afford it, yeah, take a lawyer. Why not? And then just make sure it's a lawyer you have confidence in, who handles themselves well in a setting with an immigration officer, doesn't have a bad reputation. You don't want to get a case messed up just because they don't like the lawyer or something like that. But that's fewer and far between. But there's nothing wrong, and I see some even lawyers say this, I would say mistakenly, in a very negative sense, I would say mistakenly, but they're saying, oh, it's a red flag if you're being a lawyer. That's just not the case. Lemon Juice asks, what kind of investigation does USCIS do for the application? They investigate home country too? Well, there's not much of an investigation that happens. I mean, there's automatic background checks that happen to see if you're coming up in any systems with arrest or in your name's involved in any databases. But if there's, it depends on your case. So, for example, if you got your case through marriage and they doubt your marriage, they may go back and analyze some of that. So, or you come from a country where, there's maybe terrorism or military stuff that's kind of like bad or something like that, then they're going to look into that. So it really depends on your case. It's not something I could say, oh, the investigation. It really, there's nothing detailed I could give without knowing the individual case. Plus, the government doesn't tell us exactly what they're investigating. I've only seen the consequences of their investigations when they send reports, and so over time I've developed knowledge of how it works. But it's not something I can just answer what kind of investigation it is. It's really case by case specific. Now, King Moose has a question, any visa statistics out? Where every month the Department of State issues, one, the visa bulletin, which shows where they are in the line for getting a preference category visa. And secondly, they also issue the number of visas they've issued for that time based on the embassy and the type of visa and the country of nationality. All this stuff is at the Department of State. So, there's thousands of points of information. It's not something I can just talk about here, but if you're really interested, check out the Department of State visa statistics and you'll find it there. Just Being Me asks, if you come here on a green card and don't leave when it expires, is that exempt from citizenship? No, if you enter on a green card, it means you have lawful permanent residency. The card itself is not what gives you the power of residency. You already are a resident of the United States. The card is just there to be able to prove it if someone asks for you. It's documented proof. So you could have a green card that expires for 20 years, you don't renew it, you're still a lawful permanent resident. Now, you're supposed to technically always keep a valid green card, renew it, this and that, but they're not gonna take away your residency just for not renewing your green card. I've never seen it happen. Now, if you had a 2-year green card, a conditional green card, that's another story. But if you had a 10-year green card and it expires, that's nothing to do with anything. Some field offices, when you apply for citizenship, will require that you renew your green card first, some don't. And some officers will make a big deal, some won't. So generally speaking, if you're gonna file for citizenship, it's better to file for I-90 and also renew your green card at the same time, because some offices and some agents of the government, some USCIS officers, will not approve it, potentially saying that, oh, you didn't renew your green card. And I've typically been able to get away with it, filing it for citizenship and not having issue if the green card expired. But it is possible, it is a discretionary thing, that a way I've seen it play out. It's never happened to me, but I've heard people have issues with their cases. If they file for citizenship, they didn't renew their green card, they may deny citizenship. So it's better to waste that extra money just to file for the green card to be safe. But thank you for your question. Yeah, so we filed our I-539 extension of our tourist visa on March 25th. Our biometrics was taken 04/22, that's a fast biometrics. Our I-94 is valid until June 19th. Why did you file for an extension so early? No update from USCIS, a request for extension is granted. So they filed an extension request on a tourist visa rather quickly. So that was kind of weird, but hey, that could be problematic. So I'd have to review your case in private to see what's going on there. It takes a while. Extension of tourist visa cases, and that's why I was surprised that you got your biometrics appointment a month after you filed. Usually it takes 4 or 5 months just to do the biometrics after you request an extension of your tourist visa in the United States. And many times it takes more than 6 months for them even to make a decision on the case. So what do you got to do? If you got the biometrics, after that, just wait. Hopefully it doesn't get lost in the mail or notices. Go online and check it out, but you just got to wait. Now, there's a follow-up question. Can we stay here in the USA while working for the result? If our request for extension was rejected, will we be blacklisted for overstaying? Yeah, I mean, you can stay while the case is pending. If it's denied, It's blacklisted is not a technical immigration term, but you will probably accumulate unlawful presence days. As long as there's very few of them, you won't get blacklisted, but you'll need to get a new visa the next time you want to come to the United States, and you want to keep a copy of your filing receipt to show that you didn't just stay willy-nilly, you had an extension pending, and file for a new visa. Whether you will get another new tourist visa, well, that's up to the Department of State, the visa embassy that's going to do your interview, whether they're going to accept that or not. But hey, that's a situation we're dealing with right now. You can always try that. I mean, that's about it I got right there, but I wish you the best in your processing. Let me just ask, my N400 interview is coming up, but my home country passport is expired. Should I be worried? No, there's no requirement that you have a valid passport when you're doing your citizenship interview, but you will need ID to get in the building. So take your driver's license, preferably if it's one of those new ID, what are those called? The real ID kind of driver's license. You have to have some form of ID, but it's not a requirement that you maintain a valid passport for citizenship, so that's not a problem. So if you ask, after I got my green card 10 years ago, how long can a Social Security office send Social Security number card without DHS authorization? I got my card 10 years ago. Okay, so as soon as you got your green card, you should ask the Social Security office to issue a new Social Security card without any DHS writing on it. It should be a Social Security card as normal, just like any American who just has a number. So you got to contact the Social Security office and ask for a new card, saying the old card is not proper, because it's going to confuse the hell out of employers. So just go ahead and do that. Ibrahim asks, hi sir, my I-360 is approved. Can I file I-765 in abroad? Well, no. I-360 is to prove you found, you had what it took for that category, but I-765 is a work permit. And so you have to be in the United States and file the I-765 with an application for adjustment of status. If you're not going to be in the United States to apply for adjustment of status, you can't file Form I-765 either. If you're abroad, you have to do what's called consular processing. Eventually you get the green card if the case is appropriate, and you enter with the green card and you start working with that. But you can't file I-765 unless you file I-485, and you can't do I-485 if you're abroad. So based on what you're telling me so far, I don't think that's possible, but maybe there's more to it. Alright, so next question comes from Tony Magia at 99. Can you apply for a visa if you've been deported before? It's going to be very hard, because if you had deportation, you have certain bans that you have to overcome, and then waivers that you may have to get. So it's not impossible, but it really depends on the details, the whole details of all the case, and really how much money you have to be able to prepare it properly. But it's possible, but a lot of things are possible in life, Sorry, that's not the best answer, but it is the truth. See if I asked, my fiance came on a K-1 visa. I got married within 90 days, but due to some financial issues, I could not file for change of status before I-94 expired. So I'll see if, yeah, the answer I gave earlier was wrong. There's a unique aspect for the fiance visa case, where if you do get married within the 90 days and then you apply for marriage, then it's fine. So you worded things incorrectly. This isn't change of status. Change of status is when you go from one non-immigrant visa category to another non-immigrant visa category. But here, you're going from the K-1 non-immigrant visa category to a green card. And that process is called adjustment of status. And if you're married to a US citizen and you're applying for a green card through that route, they're gonna waive the mistake of having an expired I-94. So in your case, because you're married to a US citizen within 90 days, you just have to file Form I-485, I-864, I-765, I-31, all that extra stuff. Download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card Guide at marriageimmigrationlaw.com for information. But the expiration of your status is not a problem here. So I was not incorrect earlier. That's why you have to be detailed terminology. Change of status is not correct. If you were going to change status from some category to, I guess, something else, like student visa or something, you would add a lot. But you're doing adjustment of status, and because your spouse is a US citizen, it's not a problem that your I-94 expired. Mikash, now, it's the last one of these hypothetical situations. What if after 8 months of applying for adjustment of status, marriage-based, you're not given an EAD and social security number, and you had gone for interview for lawful residency? What does this mean to get your state ID? What creates problems? This is actually a good question. It's not, I don't mind Mikash, it's not a bad question. So something that happens is they're delaying getting work permits and travel authorization so much that people are actually getting the green card interview. What does it mean for getting an ID for like a driver's license? Well, it's really bad because you need to have the EAD or the green card to get a driver's license. And this person's waiting here, 8 months have gone by. The green card's not issued yet, the work permit's not issued yet, they're stuck without ID or work permit. that's the situation that we're dealing with right now with USCIS and these delays. So that's a really serious issue. I'm sorry to hear that. Hopefully you just get approval of your green card and you get things going. Tanji asks, I just want to put my parents' address because of some reason I'm leaving my apartment and after 2 months I will. You got to tell them wherever your address is. Now you can put your mailing address wherever you want. So on any application for immigration department, there's almost always a part where it says where you want things mailed to. You can have your parents get the documents mailed to them. But when it comes to this idea that you know, you're not going to put your honest address, you have to put whatever your address is. That's as much as I can tell. You got to be honest 100%. But again, if you want to have it mailed somewhere else rather than your home address, we just put a different address for the mailing address. That's about it. I want to thank you for coming. We're here every Friday, every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific, taking your questions, live Q&A here on TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and multiple Facebook pages, multiple YouTube pages, everywhere. And with that, I want to thank everyone. God bless, be safe all. See you all next week. Bye-bye. I hope you enjoyed this educational video. We have a second channel with much more information as well at JQK Immigration Clips. Please check that out. Also, you'll find our social media site has a lot more videos, images, and information about the U.S. immigration process. Please check those out on the various social media websites.